Yes, so I'm Quincy. I will be talking with you about PAs and leadership in North Carolina. And so I would be remiss to talk with you about PAs without mentioning the founding fathers of our profession. So here on your left, you see Dr. Harvey Estes, who actually some of us had the pleasure of hearing this morning, and Dr. Eugene Stead, who had the idea of bringing back military veterans and training them to fill the gap between nurses and physicians to address healthcare shortages. Here we also have the first 3 graduating physician assistants anywhere, and that is here locally at Duke. This was the first class in 1967. These 3 gentlemen were all returning Navy corpsmen who went on to work initially at Duke and then in a variety of clinical and non-clinical settings. They were also all charter members of what became our national PA association, the American Academy of Physician Assistants. I share all 5 of these gentlemen on the screen here because they're truly trailblazers in the PA profession and models for leadership for all of us. So we fast forward to today, and here you see the most recent graduating class of PAs at Duke. And we have seen since 1967 significant growth in the PA profession. There are currently over 131,000 PAs practicing nationally, with close to 7,000 of those right here in North Carolina. The anticipated growth, as you can see on the slide, for PAs remains quite large. And given the significant growth in this profession, we are training outstanding clinicians to fill healthcare needs. But I began to wonder through my own experience in leadership college, are we providing them the training that they need to also be leaders in the profession? And so like any good clinician, when we don't know something, we turn to the literature. And a dive into the literature told me not a lot. I found a lot of great information about training curricula for physicians and physician learners, but there's really not much out there regarding what we're doing with PAs, both practicing PAs and PA learners. So this is what kind of ignited my interest in completing my project in this area and kind of assessing the needs for leadership in terms of PAs, both practicing and PA learners in our state. So these are the 3 questions that I really kind of sought out to answer. I was curious to find out what kind of training we're offering to PA students as they're going through their training programs for future leadership roles. What kind of leadership roles do PAs fill? Because we all know leadership comes in so many different shapes and sizes, and there are different opportunities for different professionals within the healthcare system. So I was curious about where PAs kind of fit into that structure. And then what leadership needs PAs have in terms of their professional development. So I started first with a survey, and I jumped ahead of myself, with North Carolina PA program directors. And so the survey was just very brief, 2 questions. One was, does your program offer a formal leadership training? And then the second question was really just, what do you think PA learners need to develop their leadership skills? So 7 out of the existing 11 programs in North Carolina responded, and as you can see here, only 2 of those offer any formal leadership training for PA students. That's not to say that they don't offer some components in their curriculum, but only 2 with formal training programs. Topics recommended, you can see listed here. Lots of communication-related issues like conflict management, having difficult conversations, professional communication, and then also other important topics like healthcare policy, finance, and politics. So then as a step 2 in my project, I sought to survey practicing PAs across North Carolina, and through the North Carolina Academy of Physician Assistants, which is our state professional organization, also known as NCAPA, I was able to send out a survey to the membership of that organization. And so what we found, and there may be a little bias here in this survey, is that 65% had been in practice 9 or more years. And so when I think about that, I think, gosh, yeah, people who've been in practice a while probably have a little bit more interest in leadership. So I take this with a grain of salt, but I also feel that this offered some really valuable framework in terms of what PAs need as a profession in terms of leadership. So what we found is that about 60% of PAs that responded do consider themselves to be a leader in one way or another in their professional work, and we'll talk in a minute about what roles they were filling. less than 10% received any kind of formal leadership training, which I think is pretty shocking. So what I found most fascinating is what roles people are filling and what kind of leader are you. And so what we heard from PAs is a lot in clinical settings, right? So clinical preceptors, teaching our future learners in those settings, and then also as clinical leads. So perhaps the lead APP in a healthcare system or a clinic. Also lots and lots of involvement with state and professional organizations in terms of leadership roles. So both state and national professional organizations. And then sadly, the least common area was research in terms of leadership. So I also asked in this survey if you could go back in time. I didn't phrase it exactly that way, but what would have benefited you most when you were in school with regards to your leadership training? And so here you can see management skills, negotiation skills, that organizational involvement again, and then PA education. And we'll see some common themes as we talk about the findings from the survey. There's also a photo here of myself with one of my learners on a White Coat Wednesday. And we had the fantastic opportunity through the North Carolina Medical Society to go and meet with our legislators and observe the Senate Health Committee and learn quite a bit about advocacy. And so I share this photo with you because that organizational involvement and advocacy are both incredibly important parts of leadership. So in the survey, we also asked what areas of leadership training would be beneficial to you now as a practicing PA. And so again, some very common areas came up. Obviously, you can see on the slide management skills, business development, again, that organizational involvement, areas in education, and advocacy. And then ranking relatively low, again, were scholarship and research. Not surprisingly, in our busy lives, when we asked about what format would be most ideal for you, the in-person was a brief in-person training in terms of leadership. And so folks opted for either a half or full day, but a one-time leadership development opportunity or online, so something that could be completed asynchronously. And so what did I learn from this work and this project is that PAs are leaders in a wide variety of settings, which is fantastic, as that's going to continue to be needed as the profession is growing. PAs also want leadership development opportunities, and those common themes that we heard in both sets of surveys were management skills, the importance of organizational involvement, and business. And so here I share a photo. This is a group of PA educators heading to Capitol Hill. This was 2015 when it was still under construction, to meet with our legislators there. And I will actually be doing this exactly a week from today, so I'm super excited about that opportunity, also through an organization of PAs. I felt that I would be remiss not to share with you that we have, as PAs, fantastic leadership opportunities already. So our national organizations, the American Academy of PAs, the PA Education Association, both offer us some really fantastic opportunities, as well as our state organization, NCAPA, and then of course NCMS, through which I was able to complete the Leadership College, and we are now seeing an emerging class of interprofessional learners who have opportunity to participate in Leadership College as well. So I share that with you to highlight that there are great opportunities, but we continue to have additional leadership needs. I welcome any questions that you all have.